Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is NASA's Thread. Today on the channel, we'll be learning how to make a one shoulder princess that bustier blouse. So if it's something you're interested in, keep watching and let's get right into this video. So for this tutorial, making use of a pattern paper, you'll be needing your wadding. I'm using a lightweight wadding. Then you'll be needing your lining. I've gone ahead to iron my interfacing to my lining. I'm using 1 yard of lining for this project. Okay, I also have my door face, which I've gone ahead to interface. This is about 1.5 yard of door face. And then for the lace, I also have 1.5 yard of my lace. All right, so this is what my lace looks like. So you can use any lace of your choice, and you'll be needing a zip and a matching color of thread for this project. So the first thing we're going to do is to draft on our paper. I've gone ahead to fold my paper into two. So I'm going to rule a line to indicate my starting point. That's where my measurements will start from. Okay, sorry, I'll go ahead and just write SH on that line, which is my shoulder. So that means that is the shoulder line. So I'll be taking my other measurements from that point. So the first is going to be my bust point, and then the under bust point, I'll go ahead and take my half length and then the full length of my blouse. So for this blouse, it's a type of blouse that is worn on top of a wrapper. So there's some they tie inside the wrapper. They're actually a more smaller, like in size and in length. But this one will be tied on a wrapper, though I'm not making mine to be that long as it usually is. So this is just it. Mine will be like a bit shorter, but not be like the normal blouse they make to tie inside the wrapper. So mine will be one on top of a wrapper. Okay, so you'll see this at the end of the video. So I've gone ahead to make that mark, and I just turned my paper the other way so that it's easier for us to work with. And I just went in and then labeled the different parts I have, my bust point, my under bust point, and the rest of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark the neck width we'll be working with, which is 3.5 inches for this project. And I'll go ahead and mark half of my shoulder measurement. Now at that point of my shoulder, I'll be going down by 8 inches, which is my armhole depth. So to get your armhole depth, to you have to divide your round bust by 6 and then add 1.5 inches to that. So I also took the measurement of my shoulder, half of my shoulder around that point, so that I can get a straight line when I connect them together. So I make a horizontal and a vertical line at that point. Now at the shoulder point, I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope because our shoulder isn't straight, and I connected that to meet that of the neck width I marked earlier. Then for the neck depth, to be using a neck depth of 3.5 inches. So we're using 3.5 inches to 3.5 inches, and then I'll just go in and connect it. Now, your neck depth depends on how open you want the chest area to be open. So it totally depends on you. Now, from after the point where I came down by 1 inch, I took the measurements I have there, made a mark at the midpoint, and then I went in by half of an inch. Then on my chest line, which is my armhole depth line, I'll go in and take quarter of my round bust so that I can get my armhole curve. And then I'll just go in with my curve rule to connect the points together. Like I said, your neck depth depends on how open you want that area to be, so you can go down more for yours if you so wish. Now to get the dart, we're going to be using the distance from one nipple to the other. That's the nipple to nipple measurement. So go ahead and place your tape around that, ensuring to be wearing a fitted bra. Okay, so mine is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. Now I'm adding half of an inch to that for stitching allowance, and I marked that from my bust point to the full length of this. So whatever you have for yours, after taking your measurement, divide that by 2 and then add half of an inch to that. Okay, so I've connected that line together. Now I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to trace out the lines I have on this other side to this point. So remember our paper was folded earlier on, but we've gone ahead to open this up. So I'm going to just trace out the line from the shoulder line to the bust point line to the under bust point line to the waistline and then the full line. Now, this is simply to ensure that we have accurate lines and we're taking our measurements. So, what you have on the right side should be reflecting on the left side. The lines should be reflecting, they should be matching perfectly. All right. Then, after doing that, you can see I finished making those marks. I will go ahead and fold this back onto this other point so that we can work on this part. So we'll be repeating what we have on this other end, what we have on the other end on this end. So you go ahead and take half of your shoulder measurement, you take your neck width. So the neck width you're taking should match with what you have on the other side. Okay, just as your shoulder measurement. So every measurement you're taking here should match with what you placed on the other side. Okay, I hope you got that. So ensure to take your shoulder slope. Remember, our shoulder isn't straight, it is slanted, so we need that so that it comes out accurately. Your neck width should be 3.5 inches, just as you have on the other side. Go ahead and connect that to meet the neck depth of 3.5 inches also. So your neck depth is 3.5, and then the neck width is 3.5 inches. So to get your armhole curve, go ahead and get the midpoint, go in by half of an inch, and then take quarter measurement of your round bust on the shoulder, on the chest line, sorry, and then you connect what you have there together to get your armhole curve. Like I said, what you have on the right should reflect on the left. So you need to have same thing. Now you're also going to mark out the um that line, which is the nipple to nipple measurement, your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus half of an inch for seam allowance. You mark that from your bust point to the full length, and then you connect the lines you marked together. Right? So this is what I have. I'm going ahead to open this up so you can see what this looks like. Now, the next thing we want to do is to just go ahead and then label the lines we have so that it matches accurately. Now, you're going to determine on your paper where you want the off shoulder to be. It can be on the right, it can be on the left, depending on where you want it to be. So for me, I want it to be on the left side of my body. So I'm going to just label that part off shoulder. That is where my off shoulder is going to sit. Okay. Now the next thing we'll do is that on the under bust line, we're going to go in and out on both legs of our dart by 1.5 inches. So you go in by 1.5 inches on both sides. Then on the leg of the dart, which is the full length, you go in and out by 1 inches. So you repeat the same thing you have on the left side. So in this case, what you do to the right, you also repeat at the left side. Okay. So on the bust, on the bust, you go in and out by 1.5, and then on the full length, you go in and out by 1 inches, and then you connect what you have there together. So if you're in a smaller bust size, you want to use 1 inches at the under bust and then half of an inch on the full length. If you're in a bigger bust size, you add half of an inch to that and thereabout. So from the bust point, we're going to go down by half of an inch on both sides. Remember I said it's going to be on both sides. We're doing the same thing on both sides for now. So you go now by 1 inch from the bust point, and then you connect it with your rule like so. So I'm using my curve rule to connect this. So just watch how I'm connecting this so that you can connect yours accurately also. Okay, so I've done that. You can see how this looks like. Now, on the armhole area of the right side, which is the part with the shoulder, you're going to get the midpoint of that place, okay, of your armhole curve. And you go ahead, use your curve rule to connect it to meet the dot line you have like so. All right, so you can see we're already getting that bust effect around that point. Okay, now the next we're going to do is that we'll come down from that line around the armhole by 1 inch. You make a mark there, Then you're going to measure on that line. That's the line we connected to the part. You're going to measure 2.5 inches on that line so that you know where you're connecting that 1 inches to meet like so. So you can see I connected that and I just made some little adjustments. So that's what is. And then we're going to extend that line outward by 1 inch. So if you come down by 1.5 inches from your midpoint, that's where you connect, you're going to use 1.5 inches to also extend it outward. Now, this is to enable our armhole to not be short. Okay, so that this one we have downwards here will not be short. It's going to be matching perfectly with the other one by the time we stitch it down. So this is what we're going to have, okay, on the right side. That's the part with the shoulder. So the next thing we're going to do is to just place our round measurement by placing the tape at the midpoint of our paper. So ensure that you're placing this at the midpoint of your paper. Go ahead and take your round bust measurement, divide that by 4, add it down. Then you're going to add that 1 inch you used. Okay, add 1 inch to that and then add your seam allowance. So you do the same thing at the underbust. Take your underbust measurement, divide that by 2, sorry, divide that by 4, you mark it down, take the dart intake there and then add your seam allowance. So don't forget to include your dart intake while you're taking these allowances. So if your dart intake is 2 inches, take 2 inches plus an extra seam allowance of 2.5 inches. It's important for you to take your dart intake. It is very important because we'll be cutting that out. If you don't take it, it means your blouse will be smaller, like it won't fit you at all. It will not be your body size. So I advise you to not forget such important measurements. Okay, so after doing that, I just went ahead to connect it together so you can see what we have at that end. So now I'll be working on this other side. So from the armhole area, I went up by 1 inch and I made a mark there. Now I'm going to use my curve rule to just connect it to meet the midpoint of my neckline. So you're going to connect that 1 inch point to meet the midpoint of your neckline with your curve rule like so. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now, the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to extend the dart line. That's the dart line to meet that line we just drew now. All right, now on this line, we are going to go in and out on both sides by half, by 0.75. Okay, so I went in and out on both sides by 0.75 on that point. Now I'll go up from my bust area by 1 inch also, and I'll connect my line to meet that point. Okay, so this is what we have. So now to not have shortage on this other bust area, I will extend the line I have there by 0.5 inch. That's half of an inch. I'll go up at that point like so, and then I will just connect it that way. So this is so that we don't have any shortage at this other point. Okay. Then from that end, I will just connect like a line, a slanted line going downwards. Okay, so you can see what we have there. This is okay. So the next we're going to do is just to go ahead and take our body measurement just as we did for the other end. So you're going to place your tape at the midpoint and you take your measurement. So ensure, like I said before, ensure to know the midpoint. Place your tape that way and then just make your marks going that way. So don't forget to add the dart intakes. Like I said, if you don't add your dart intakes, your clothes will not size you. All right. So you add your dart intakes, you add your seam allowance if you want it to be free. Now, this kind of blouse, the bust area is always like fitted. Then from that point downwards, it is free. Remember, I said this type of blouse to be worn on top of a wrapper. So it's meant to be free from the under bust area. You just have that freedom. So while it's fitted around the breast area, from the other ends, it is free. okay, so that it can sit on your wrapper perfectly. So depending on who you're making it for and what the occasion is, right? So after doing that, I just connected the lines, the marks I've made together with my glue like so. Doing that, I'll just connect this line to meet together. Okay, so this is what we have for the front. Remember to add every dart intake you're taking at any point. If you took any dart at the bust area, ensure to add it back. The underbust, the full length, just ensure to add it back. And I just went ahead to cut it out. So just watch how I'm cutting this so that you are not mistaken while you're doing yours. For this is what the front looks like. Okay, so we're going to keep this aside and then we work on our back pattern. So you can see how nice this looks already. Okay, so for the back, I've gone ahead to fold up another piece of paper. I marked my zip allowance. I'm using a 1.5 inch of seam allowance for my zip. So for the armhole of this, you're going to get the midpoint also, and then you get your quarter measurement of the round bust. So you're taking your measurement from after the zip allowance line. So sorry, for the back, we're not going to go in by 1/2 inch. Instead, we're just going to connect this like so. Now, this is because the armhole of the front is usually deeper than that of the back. That is why you're taking 1/2 inch of that of the front. Okay, so we'll go ahead and place our dark line by taking our nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch, just like we did for the front. So you're going to take this measurement from the bust line down to the full length, and you just go ahead and connect them together in a straight line. So we basically repeated what we have for the front at the back. The difference between what we have at the back is the zip allowance and the armhole. So you're going to use the same neck width and the same neck depth. Okay, so they need to be matching perfectly. So after doing that for that, on the that leg, we're going in and out by 0.75 inches on both ends, and then we'll mark it down. Then we're going to go down from the bust area by 1/2 inch, and then you connect your dart from the dart leg to meet that point like so. So just watch how I'm connecting this together. So for the back dart, we're just using a normal dart for that of the back, as a diamond dart for the back. Okay, I like saying it's a diamond dart. I hope that is what it is, just for the back. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take our body measurement. Now remember I said your measurement should come from after your zip allowance line. Okay, don't take it before the zip allowance line, just after the line. Go ahead and place your round bust divided by 4 plus your seam allowance, your under bust divided by 4 plus your seam allowance. So whatever that intake you have at those points, you take it. Okay, especially for that of the full length, you go ahead and take your dart intake. All right, so this is what we're going to have. We just go in and connect the lines together like so. Okay, so this is what we have for the back. Okay, so the next we're going to do for the back is to open it up just like we did in front. Okay, so before we work on the zip area, we're going to open this up so that we can also get our off shoulder for this end. All right, so but for that, I will just cut this out, cut off the excess we have on this. All right, so we'll go ahead and then open this up. So this is what we have for the back. Now for the back, your measurement, sorry, your left and right will be on the opposite side. So remember for the front, we have the other side as right and this other side as the left. So for this one, it's going to be reversed. Okay. Now to ensure that you're placing this well, what I did was that I marked the wrong side of my paper because I have like rough marks on that end. And I'm placing my paper the front to the back, right side to right side. Okay, just how it will be while I'm stitching down to confirm that I'm placing this rightly. Because if you don't get this right, you will have the off shoulder of your back on the right, while you have the off shoulder of the left on the right side. So just of the front on the left side. So just that. Okay, so I just retraced my armhole line to that point, and then I'm going up by 1 inch also like I did for the front, and I'll connect that to meet the midpoint of my neckline. Like I was saying, you ensure that you're placing this rightly so that you don't have the back off shoulder on the right and then have the front off shoulder on the left, or wherever, whatever point you're using. So ensure to determine it properly so that you don't get frustrated with this work. So this is what we have. I just make that mark. Now on the waist area, I'm going to just take in half of an inch to take off any form of zip bulge. I'll take in half of an inch on that place, and then I'll connect it to meet the full length. All right, and then I'll connect it to meet the top area like so. So this is just to avoid any form of bulge of the zip, that zipper bulge for our blouse. Okay, so we can go in now to cut this out. Have, I'll go ahead and cut this out on my fabric. So I've done this on my different fabric, the lining, the lace, the doll face. This is for the back area, you can see. Now for the front, I went ahead to trace out my interfacing, that's my wording on it. And I'm doing it for both my lining and the main piece. Now, this is because I'm using a lightweight wording and I want to be able to wear this without wearing a bra at all inside of it. So I just did that for both of them. Okay, so remember I said I'd cut this out on my lining, my doll face, and then my lace. So the next thing I want to show you is how to cut this out. Okay, so while cutting on your paper, you need to cut your fabric facing you, like the lace should be facing upwards, the doll face should be facing upwards, but for the lining you're going to cut it in the opposite direction. So this is something you should not mistake, okay? The lining should be cut in the opposite direction. So if you're cutting on your doll face, you cut the right side of your fabric facing you. You cut the right side of your fabric facing you, the right side of your lace facing you, since we're using a lace. Then for the lining, you're going to cut the wrong side of your line. That's where you did your iron your interfacing facing you. Okay, now you can see I have a curve at the edge of this, right? I went ahead to curve it down, so I'm going to just show you how to do that. Now to get this curve on the side, that's the outer part, not the center part, we're going to just go up at that point by 2 inches. So you can use 1.5 inches depending on how curved you want it to be. And then you get the measurement you have around that end, get the midpoint of that measurement, mark it down, and then use your curve rule to just connect those 2 points together. Like this is the best way to get occur at the end of your blouse, right? So by the time you take it out, it's going to like give you that effect. So the next thing we'll do is to go ahead and laminate our lace to our door face. So for this, we'll be using our hemming gum. Now there are different sizes of hemming gum. Okay, you can use any size, whichever one you have. So what I'm going to do is just unpin this so that I will show you how to. So we're going to be placing this way. So you can see if you don't cut this properly, your lace and your doll face will be facing different areas. You don't want to waste this. So we're placing our hemming gum in between this piece and then we're going to iron it down. So we'll do that for all the piece of our fabrics, the back and the front, all of them carrying the lace. And after that, I'll go ahead and iron my wording to the bust areas where they are needed, especially of that of the front. So you want to ensure you place them well and then you iron them down properly. So I finished doing that. You can see how this looks like after I finished. I've ironed my wording to the front. I've also laminated my lace to my door face. You can see this is the front piece. I've finished ironing down my wording to them. So I'll keep the lining aside and we're going to work on the main piece. So what we're going to do is to place this right side to right side, aligning them to the part where they are matching with the bust area. Remember, we have one for the off shoulder and we have one for the shoulder. And I will just go ahead and pin them down to keep them in place so that I'm going to have like an ease while I am stitching them together later on. So you want to place them together, align them from the beginning to the end, place them together. So the place that is very important for this part is the underbust. Okay, so ensure you align the underbust of the side piece to that of the center piece. So you align them properly. They should be matching properly. Like those points, that point is like the most important point. Because if you don't get that, you will not have that kick your bust needs. Okay, it's going to be flat. It's not going to be kicking. So ensure you align the underbust point properly. Okay, so I finished pinning down. This is what it looks like. So this is what I mean when I said you should align it together. So you can see without even stitching, right? This is what it's looking like already. Okay, so what I'll do is to just go in and stitch it down by half of an inch on both ends, and then I'll come back and show you. So for the back, right, I ensure to place my dart on them on the door face before I laminated with my lace. So I'm just go ahead and turn this over with my lining piece for that of the back. So we're going to be using our hemming gum on the neckline so that by the time we press, it's going to sit properly. Okay, so remember we have like an opening for the armhole. So while you're stitching, you're going to stitch the neckline, stitch the sides, stitch the bottom, leave the armhole area open. That's for that of the off shoulder. Now for that of the shoulder area also, you're going to make use of your hemming gum too around the neckline. You stitch your neckline, stitch the sides, stitch the bottom. Okay, so this is what it looks like for the front after I finish stitching. So you can see how this is kicking already. I have actually not ironed this at all, so you can see how this looks. See, that part is sitting up, so you need to ensure you indicate your underbust properly. So I'll just go on with my scissors and I'll make notches for this so that I'll have ease of ironing by the time I iron this down. So the next thing I want to do is to just use my tailor's ham. So this is like a homemade tailor's ham. I've just placed this on top and I'll open up my seam and iron. So this is what it looks like after I finished. I ironed. You can see how this looks. So this is what it looks like in front. See the bust area. Can you see how it is? Looking all nice, like giving the kick like I want it to give. The bust is busting. So I did the same thing for that of my lining piece. So I'll just go ahead and turn this over together. So remember I said we're going to use our hemming gum around the neckline. Is important so that by the time you iron, it's going to give you like a neat finishing. All right. So you're going to sew the neckline, the sides, the bottom, leaving the armhole area open, leaving the shoulder area open, and ensuring to also leave the armhole area of the off shoulder open. So remember we have like an off shoulder area. So that place should be open. Don't stitch it down because we'll be adding sleeves to this. But if you do not want to add sleeves, you can go ahead and close that area down. But since we'll be adding sleeves, you need to leave that end open, okay? Then just go ahead and stitch down the other areas properly. So this is what I have after I did that. This is what the front looks like after I finish stitching. You can see how fine this is. And this is that of the back. So I just turned the back. I fixed my zipper to the back. Okay. So the next thing we do is to just stitch this together. So we're going to take body measurements. So remember, we used 2.5 inches of seam allowance. So if you're using more, what you do is that you have to ensure that the bust area is seated up, like as if there's something there, and then you take your measurement. But before that, we're going to join the shoulder areas together by placing this lining to lining and fabric to fabric, and we go ahead and pin it down firstly so that it stays put. So we're going to pin them down starting from that midpoint. So you just pin it down that point there, and you go ahead and stitch it down by 1/2 inch, right? So I've stitched it down. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on taking our body measurement. So I just pushed out the bust area, as you can see, and I'll place my tape. So what you're going to do is that you take your measurement, like half of your body measurement. Say your round bust is 36 inches, like what I'm using for this. You divide that by 2. So 36 divided by 2, I have 17 inches. I have 18 inches. Then I'm going to, share whatever I have remaining on both sides. Okay. Then you repeat the same thing for your underbust. You repeat the same thing for your waist. You repeat the same thing also for the full length. So on the full length, remember you'll be taking your hip measurements. That's half of your hip measurement. So you're actually taking half of your body measurement because you have the back and front together, laying down together like so. And you should take your measurement on the wrong side of your fabric because that is where you should be stitching. Don't make the mistake of stitching on the right side of your fabric. So you just stitch it on the wrong side. Take those measurements. So you can take that of the bust, take that of the waist, and then take that of the hip. Now remember I said this is supposed to be like a free kind of blouse, since it's the type of blouse you use in tying a wrapper. So the bust area can be fitted. The waist area you can decide to leave like 1/2 inch so that you have like a bit of ease around that area, and then the same thing at that of the hip so that it is not so tight around your body. So I just did that. Just go ahead and stitch it down on those lines. So this is what I have after I finish. This is what the blouse looks like. Okay, so I've actually gone ahead to wear this, and it looked so fine on me. Like I already loved how it came out. So I noticed that the armhole area of the off shoulder was is actually too closed. So I'm going to just open it up. Just go in with my scissors to just open it up a little bit. So I'm just going to open that end up a little bit, just a little bit, okay, so that by the time I fix my sleeve and wear this, I have like ease to take my hands up or bring it down. Like it's comfortable for me to wear. So I just open that up. All right, so this is what I have. So now for the off shoulder sleeve, we're going to work in on this. I'm sorry, this is going to be fast because so the first thing I did is just mark the starting of my sleeve. I'll go on from that point, and then I'm going to take the length of my sleeve. So this is going to be like a short sleeve. So if you want your sleeve to be long, just go ahead and do that. So I just took that measurement of the sleeve, and then what I'll do is that I'll go in on the upside, that's the starting of my sleeve by half of an of by 5 inches, sorry. And then I came down by 4 inches for my bicep point, and then I just wrote a line there. Okay. Now on that line of my bicep, which is my sleeve cap, I'm going to take half of my round armhole measurement plus ease allowance at that point. So you're going to have like the measurement of your ease, you're going to have your stitching allowance, and then you connect it with a curve to meet that 5 inches you came in at the beginning of the sleeve. So that's what I did there. Okay. Then on the ends of your sleeve, just go ahead and take the measurement you have there divided by 2 plus your stitching allowance. Okay, so you don't really need the ease allowance at that up area because it meant to be fitted so that your breast is not opening if you bend down. Okay, so that's just it. And I just went ahead to connect the lines together like so. So this is what we have. And I'll just go in with my scissors to cut this out. Right, so I'm going to place this on my lace and then I'll trace it out since that's what I'm using for my sleeve. So I'm going to ensure that the lace mouth is at the end of the sleeve. Okay, that's what I want. And it looks better that way so that you don't have to bother about hemming it at that end, except you're adding something to the ends of your sleeve. Okay, so I just went ahead to cut that out. So this is what Sorry, this is what this looks like. Okay, this is what I have for the sleeve, right? So the next thing I'll do is to cut out. So the next thing I'll do is to cut out like a facing for my sleeve. So that end will not just go in like that on the sleeve because it is a lace this thing it is more like a blouse. So I'm going to just place this on top of it. So you can use 4 inches for the width of this facing because you'll be folding it up. So I'm just going to take off this part so that I have it straight and I will place it this way. So you can use 4 inches for the width of your sleeve. Okay, a bit length of your sleeve. All right, you should use 4 inches for the length because you'll be folding that up later on. And I'll just place my sleeve on top and trace out what I have at that end, like so. Okay, so this is what I have. Okay, so what I'll do next is to just place this together right side to right side, and I'll go ahead and stitch it down. So I've done that, I've stitched it down. I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side and I will top stitch. And after that, I'll fold in the end. So you're going to fold in that end 2 times. You fold it in and then stitch it down. So this is what it looks like after I finished. And I went ahead to close up the ends by the allowance, which is 1 inch I added. Now to attach this to the blouse, you're going to get the midpoint of the sleeve, pin it down and then stitch the other ends to the open ends. So this is what it looks like after I finish stitching. This is what it looks like. Okay, so I want to be adding like a cape. Let's call that a cape. I want to add like a design to this. So I'm going to take the measurements where I want this to be. So I'm taking it from the under bust towards the back. So it's going to go from the under bust to the shoulder and then to the back to where I want it to end, right? So I took that measurement of where I want it to end. So just take that measurement and then you also need to know like the width, how much you want it to cover. So I went ahead to cut out this piece. It measures 10 inches in width, and then for the length, I have about 37 inches of length. Okay, so I wanted to use this piece initially, but I noticed that the width wasn't as much as I want it to be. I didn't want it to be too tiny. So I went ahead to get another piece and I'll be using that to trace out like a second one with the same width and with the same length. Okay, so you notice that on one piece of this, I have my interfacing. You can decide to do that or you can decide not to. Okay, that this is just like a design. So I just used the one with interfacing to trace that out Okay, ensuring that I have my widths matching. Then I'm going to cut out another piece to join to the ends so that they are matching also in length. So we'll need the width to be matching and the length to be matching also. So I have this other piece. I'll just trace out what I need to add to the length of this. All right, so what I'll do is to take this over to the machine. I'm going to join this together on the wrong face, okay, and then also use that to turn up the other end. So this is what it looks like after I finish. This is what I have. So what I'll do is to bring in my blouse now. So I want to place this. So I'll be placing this from under the bust, like I said, where I want it to start. So you can just give it like a little pleating. So you'll place this way. See the way I'm placing it? This way. Okay, ensure that the rough edges are inside. I don't have an interlocking machine, but you need to like interlock the edges, especially if you're making this for a client, so that it doesn't look rough. Okay, so you interlock the edges, place them this way. You're going to flip it this way, the rough edges inside. So, and then make little pleats at that point and pin it down so that it stays in place before you go ahead and stitch. So I just made my pleats and I'm using my pins to hold them in place. Okay, after which I will just stitch it down. So for the other ends, you will need somebody to help you, or you place that on your manic so that you know the extension you want. So I've stitched it down, okay? So as I was saying, to know where to place this at the back, depending on how much you want it to fall or if you want it to stay put, depending on how you want the effect to be, you will need somebody to help you to pin it down, or you place this on a manic to pin it down so that you get what you want accurately. Okay, now now for this one with the shoulder, I'm gonna ahead to cut out a basic sleeve. I'll just go ahead and stitch that around and I'll show you the final look of what I have for the blouse. So this is what it looks like. This was how I dressed to the occasion. You can see how fine this turned out actually. So let me know in the comment section if you found this video helpful, and please subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. Okay, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Love you.